I want to start with congratulations on the movie. And I mean that sincerely. Million questions for you. If you could get the financing to make anything you want, what is that project and why?
Well, that's a trick question. If I could get any, honestly, right now, oh my God, there's so many.
Well, it's like usually it's like when someone has a script that they like love that they're having a problem with. It's like putting it into the world and, you know, wishing it to happen.
No, there's a movie I have right now that I've been working on for it's probably the longest amount, 4 years now, going on 5 maybe, at Warner Brothers. It was initially called By All, now it's called the Untitled Steven Caple Jr. Project. So now you know how many drafts it's gone through. Probably that one. It's like set in a world where there's like no cops and people police themselves. So it's like kind of futuristic, kind of dystopian, but not all the way there. But in the tones of a modern Western. So like a futuristic Western, I should say now. That's probably the one. It's really cool. Yaya's attached to it and we're trying to get that off the ground. So I can make that. Yeah.
I'm going to say I wish you nothing but the best on that project.
Thank you.
Sincerely. You have never played in a playground this large. This is with all the CGI, with everything that went on. And the thing about it is it's hard to get the keys to this kingdom to play in this budget. But once you do, you sort of get the keys to other things. Do you know what I mean? So what was it like going in, or how did you get involved with Transformers? Was it your pitch? Was it the studio coming to you? And you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was a little bit of both. Like the first time that I did Creed 2, and the first time the studio ever knocked on my door, it was for Bumblebee 2. And I was like, I don't want to do it. I just came out from Creed 2. I don't want to do a sequel, you know? And so a year had gone by, or maybe 2, right before COVID, and they said, we found out the story we want to tackle. We want to bring in Beast Wars. I was like, I know all about Beast Wars. I'm down for Beast Wars. And so they developed the script on their own. They passed it to me 2020, October 5th. I remember the date. And I jumped right in and I kind of did my own version of the pitch. I said, I love where you guys are going. You guys want to do New York. You guys want to do the 90s. You want to do Peru. But here's what I'll do with the characters. So I changed up Optimus Prime. I gave him a whole pitch on how I would start him with like not loving humans at first and not deciding Noah right off the rip. They're going to have friction between the two. Gave him a pitch for Optimus Prime where they start off in the top of the movie, and I gave him a new villain, which was Unicron and the Terracon Squad. I just felt like as a fan, we've been tiptoeing around Unicron, and all the other films kind of like hinted towards him towards the end. And I just really want to expand the universe, and I felt like he was that perfect source to do so because he tells us there's another world out there. There's more Transformers out there. It's not just Autobots and Decepticons. And then, of course, the exosuit, that was my idea. It was an homage to the 80s cartoon. So it was a bit of that. I pitched it to them, and they loved the heart. They loved where I was going with the direction of the characters. And yeah, they kind of gave me the key to play. Yeah,
and you, I'm going to use the term, you nailed it. Because it's clear, like when you're watching it, it's clear a fan is making this. This is someone who knows the characters. I also appreciate the G1 stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And talk about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to tap into G1 because I was a fan. There's some stuff I'm holding off from the G1 because I'm hoping to be in the next, you know, sort of phase of this project. And there's some sort of like, I can hear the fans, and I'm just also like, I know, I just wait for the next one. There's some pieces I want to bring back into G1 in terms of weapons and things like that we don't see in this particular film. Now I'm just really nerd talking here. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's some stuff that I know, and I'm just like, I just want to get to it. But in this one, just setting up the fact that, you know, we are in that era, right? So it was like 80s, 90s, and I was like, I love the designs that they had. It was a lot simpler. I felt like throughout the years, we started to lose the car and the vehicles within the Autobots. And so for me, I'm like, if we simplify it like they did in Bumblebee, we get to keep that texture and that cool look, which makes them special. The fact that they could change from car to robot. And I just didn't want to lose those parts and those pieces. And G1 is just cool to me.
What day on set did you have like a meltdown thinking, holy F, I'm directing a Transformers movie?
Oh man, I know the exact moment. Cause it's probably the only moment I've been able to actually take it in. Like it still hasn't even kicked now post making the film. But there's one day on Machu Picchu, we were shooting there. Beautiful location. So you had that. The setting was nice. And Noah, it was high altitude. So Noah had a real tough time breathing, Anthony Ramos. And he was running across a field, and next to him was a pole, like a production assistant running with a pole and a tennis ball. And we had just opened up the park. The park was closed or still call it a park, but Machu Picchu was closed for a whole year because of quarantine. So people started coming into the park and they were looking down at us as they were up on the ruins as we were running across. And they were just like, run. Like they were so enthusiastic. Run, Optimus, run, Optimus, run, Anthony. And it was just like a moment because Anthony was out of breath. We caught cut. He's trying to catch his breath and people were rooting and cheering for him. And that just motivated us all to like, let's do the other take, you know, because we were trying to get it right. And it also was a reminder because like you could hear the accents and it was like people from all over the world standing on top of this one you ruined speaking. And you're like, wow, these are different kind of these people from Peru. It could be people from wherever. And you could just hear the different accents across the board. And they all simultaneously was rooting for the Autobots. And it just was a reminder of how big Prime is and the rest of the guys, Transformers.
I'm obsessed with the editing room because it's where it all comes together. So how did the film change in the editing room in ways you didn't expect? And did you have a way longer like first cut or director's cut?
No, I tend to like keep my director's cut pretty tight. At least the one the studio saw was probably like 15 minutes longer than what we have now. But there's small scenes in there that just cause confusion. Like one was this this Decepticon scene, Transit, that I've been talking about because Optimus Prime fights Transit at the beginning of the movie, or at least he used to. And you find out that Optimus Prime wants to go home. Like that's all he wants to do. And that Cybertron's in deep trouble. And this guy, Transit, was telling him that like, you know, we're just here to kill you, AKA like Cybertron's already ours. And it was a really epic fight scene. And then you saw Optimus Prime dump his body in the Hudson River and all these Decepticons were dead. And you saw that he's been hunting for the last few years. So when we screened it, people were like, damn, this is kind of dark. It was kind of dark, but I thought it was a movie I wanted to make. But then I started to realize it is dark. It just felt a little darker. So we pulled back on that. And then we started to dive a little bit more into the Maximal sort of origin story because we were trying to play with the sort of time travel, which is originally in the mythology for the Beast Wars. It got just confusing. And I was like, how can I simplify it? So a lot of the rewriting and editing and post became, how can we sort of simplify the Maximal story so it doesn't confuse the audiences? And then one last thing was Mirage, his jokes. Like we were just trying to top the jokes. I didn't write for comedy, so it wasn't until Pete Davidson got involved that we started to like rewrite and change his face to match Pete Davidson's sort of tone and demeanor.
With some of the stuff you cut, like the Optimus killing Decepticons, was that were any VFX far along, or was this all?
It was far along. Oh my God, some were like almost close to final. I think we're planning on releasing it for the fans.
That's what I want to know.
I want to release it. I won't release the Hudson River, him dropping the bodies, because that wasn't far along, because that was totally CG, even the world. So we had a mixture of boards and a mixture of previs for that one. But the other stuff with him fighting Decepticon, we had render shots. It was a really tough call. Like the studio and us, like it took us a couple of weeks to figure that one out because we all loved the scene and we're trying to make it work, but it just was slowing down the film and kind of like people already understood that he wanted to go back home. They didn't need that extra piece.
This movie what are you actually, as a Transformers fan, because you are, I think this is my last question. What are you most looking forward to other Transformers fans, like Easter eggs and things that like fans are going to really appreciate?
I don't know if people, this is a good question. There's a moment in the film now where, I don't know who's going to catch this, where Scourge is about to kill Prime, no spoiler alerts, and he lifts up his blade and he's like, Primus would be ashamed. And like, I feel like that's one of the first times we actually mentioned Primus in the storyline. And the fact that now we have the ability to not open up the door and tap into where the Autobots actually came from and who are they. I feel like even when I'm talking to my mom, she's like, I love Transformers, but like, what are talking robots and where are they from? And I'm like, now I feel like in the next films, there's Easter eggs now in this film that we can set up to say, hey, we want to go further into that direction and explain things like that. So that's probably an Easter egg only fans will probably get.
I know I got to go, but just real quick, would you ever debate having Prime say, one shall stand, one shall fall with Scourge? Or was it like, that's the animated movie, we can't touch that?
You know, if we can carry it over, Lorenzo's doing an animated movie. So if we could bring that over, that'll be great. But I think that'd be fun to play with for sure, especially in the next one to come.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to go. Congrats. I hope it's a
man.
huge hit. Thank you for your time.